friends, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Washing Dishes. Today we're making red beans and rice. It's 85 degrees outside, but when I decided to make it yesterday it was overcast and chilly. So whatever. Anyway, red beans and rice is a really classic traditional dish from the American South. I'm sure it has some problematic history. I am not here to address that. I am here to make a really delicious vegan version of it. Actually, I have some andouille sausage, but I'm going to leave that on the side. So it'll be vegan if you want it to be vegan. Other than that, it's just going to be breaking down some veggies, and voice over me will talk about the holy trinity of Louisiana cooking while you watch me break things down at high speed. This is a really, really simple, incredibly low-cost dish that you can make huge batches of for not very much money. If I can find the receipt, if I haven't already thrown it away, I will put a per portion price approximately here. Or maybe I totally cut that out. We'll see. Anyway, I'm going to break down some veggies. I'll bring you in closer so you can see what I'm doing as I explain it, and we'll get going with some red beans and rice. Enjoy!
And as Live Me said, here's voiceover me telling you about the holy trinity of Louisiana cooking, which is celery, onions, and green bell pepper. You may notice that bears a lot of similarity to a French, the mirepoix. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. But yeah, so the mirepoix is two parts onion, 1 part each celery and carrot. I'm not abiding by the usual ratios that a trinity would use. It's closer to the mirepoix. I'm just doing a couple sticks of celery, an onion, and a bell pepper, and we're just doing a small but rough chop and dice on these, and then the onions getting grated. We just want it to break down. We want to get as much moisture out of these as possible before we add the beans and stuff, because that'll help us develop a little bit of browning and flavor. And we want as much flavor and browning as we can get into this. But yeah, so we're just breaking these down into very small pieces. We'll grate some garlic in later. And it's just all going in the same bowl because it's all going in the pan at the same time. Once these are broken down, we're going to go ahead and get our pan going. And we'll start the cooking process. And the cooking part of this is also fairly simple. I'm using a mixture of olive oil and vegetable oil because, as I've done this before, I want the flavor from the olive oil and the heat resistance of the vegetable oil. Anyway, so we're just going to sweat our veggies at like medium to medium-low heat. We want to get a lot of the moisture out and get them nice and soft before we really put the spurs to it and get some browning. And we're doing this because we want these veggies to really kind of melt into the dish. We want the primary texture of the dish to be the nice, tender, soft red beans and rice. So we're melting the veggies down and sweating them out, and we're just going to let them go until they're nice and soft, and then we'll get on to the next step. And as far as herbs and seasoning, I'm adding some garlic and some sprigs of fresh thyme and fresh sage. You could also add parsley or cilantro if that was your thing. You know, it's very much just like whatever fresh herbs you have that'll brighten up and kind of increase the variety of flavors is generally a good move. I'm also adding 1 jalapeno just for some heat. Totally optional. You could do 0, you could do more, you could use serranos, you can use any chili you like. You could, like I said, you could just leave the heat out if you wanted. I like my food spicy, so I'm adding a jalapeno just to, I want it there, but I don't want it to be like a super spicy dish. And now that everything has had a chance to sweat out and soften a bit, we're going to go ahead and add another batch of seasonings, and that's going to be a hefty teaspoon or so of paprika, a hefty tablespoon or so of paprika, and about a teaspoon and a half, 2 teaspoons of chili powder. Again, spice is always optional. You could do less chili powder, more paprika, less chili powder, however you want to do it. You're just wanting to get some of those like earthy pepper flavors into the mixture. And we're just going to let that go and continue sweating, and it'll develop some flavor, and I'll check back in a moment once it has had a chance to do that. And with that, it's time to add the beans. This is approximately 25-30 ounces of beans by weight. I bought 2 pounds and then soaked them and then accidentally dropped a bunch of them after they had been soaked. That's not the point. Anyway, we're mixing these in and just kind of getting it going. We're going to go ahead and add about a quart of vegetable stock. This was purchased if you have veg stock at home. It would both cut costs and improve flavor. And we're just going to stir that around, get it covered, and then these are going to have to cook for a good... I over-soak these, so I let them cook for about an hour and a half. If you soak them the correct amount of time, which is somewhere in the 8 to 20 hour range, I left these too long. I started them before I left for work on Tuesday and didn't get to them until Wednesday afternoon. Yeah, so we're just going to let them sit and cook I'm going to let them go an hour and a half. You can expect these, if you make them, to take anywhere from an hour and a half on up to 2.5 hours. So, yeah, it can be an all-day project. It's a great thing to do if you've got a lazy Sunday or whatever around the house, or in my case, a Wednesday, because that's my day off. So these are going to go at a just barely simmering until the beans are tender and delicious, and then we will get to the rest of our delicious meal. And I'm going to let the sausage saute in the pan while I give the red beans and rice a quick stir. The sausage is just going to go long enough to get brown on the outside, then I'll split it in half and get browning on the interior. It's, like I said, it's mostly just a garnish, but I wanted some sausage with my red beans and rice when I had dinner this evening. So I'm making some sausage. And now it's time to do a little plating. I generally like to start with a nice base of the red beans and that mixture, and then I usually pile the rice on top. In this case, I'm going to do a little technique to get a nice rounded mound of rice. I'm going to use this little dish that I'm going to rub a little bit of cooking oil, vegetable oil in, just so it's not going to stick. And then I'm going to pack it full of rice and then invert it to drop the rice on top of the red beans so that we get that nice base of red beans with a nice, pretty, rounded mound of rice on top. If you had a scoop or a rounder bowl, you could certainly use that, but I'm just going to invert this nice and tight. I'm just going to pack it nice and tight and then invert it, bam, right on top. And if this was all you wanted to do, you would have a beautiful rustic bowl plate of red beans and rice. Let's try kicking it up a notch, as Emerald would say. So we'll take some of our sausage, and I'm going to cut that on a super sharp bias, basically like more than 45 degrees, because I want to get really nice, like long, pointy pieces. And then I'm just going to take those and add it to our previously vegan red beans and rice, and now I've got a red beans and rice fit for, well, I mean, it was fit for anybody before. Now it's fit for anybody who also eats meat. What if we wanted to make this extra fancy? Well, I would start with, just a little bit of garnish. So keep an eye out for a garnish episode coming up. But this is some chive oil that I'm just going to drizzle over the rice to add a little bit of chive flavor, a little bit of a green tinge to it. It's just going to kind of fancy it up a little. And then we're going to go ahead and add some other kind of toppings. We've got the nice chive oil. And then I have some cold fried shallots. Again, I'll teach you how to make all of these in an upcoming video. And we're just going to do a little mound of those. These will add a nice kind of visual element on top and a nice little crunch to it. They're absolutely delicious and super easy to make. And they keep for like not forever, but pretty close to forever. A nice little fried sage leaf on top to kind of carry the sage flavor through. And then for the final garnish, we're going to add some chiffonade of sage, just kind of sprinkled around to add a little more greenery, a little more brightness and flavor. And I'd say we've got maybe this, I don't know if you can ever call red beans and rice fine dining, but if you can, this is probably as close as you're going to get. So, this looks beautiful. Let's go ahead and give it a taste.
All right, let's give it a try. It looks beautiful. I hope you enjoyed the various kind of like building up of presentation. Let's give this a taste, because even if it looks really great, it's got to taste really good. So let's dive in. I want a little bit of hot sauce because I'm me, but oh my god, this is delicious. Rich and creamy without any cream or meat. It's just all the veggies and the beans, and they're spectacular. The sausage here is going to be delicious, but it's not necessary. It's just a nice little add-on. You could have chopped it up smaller and cooked it with the... I'm gesturing to a pan that you all can't see. But yeah, you could have cooked it up and cooked it in the thing. You could have added a ham hock to it. There's lots of options. But this is delicious. I cannot wait to finish eating this for dinner. I will try to remember to have whatever this cost me in this general vicinity. But you should, if my quick maths is correct, you should probably be able to make like 4 portions of this for under $10. But yeah, and if you enjoyed this, I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. A like or subscribe would be super helpful, or share this with your friends, or just, check out some other videos. I've got a bunch of them. Let me know what you like, let me know what you want to see, and I will catch you next time on the next episode of Washing Dishes. Thanks very much.